Welcome everybody to Rob's MetalWorks tonight. We are here in Austin at the Come and Take It to support one of our favorite bands from the East Coast. Yes, Metal Master Technicians finally is here on the program. Revocation, and I have with me the main man, Mr. Davidson. Sir, what an honor to have you on our program after all these years that we've been listening to your music.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on. I'm glad we can make it work.
Yeah, man. So happy, and it seems like the opportune time, like the universe aligned, because I really love your new record, and it just came out this month. So, bukus to talk about with your new record, Nether Heaven. But first thing that kind of came to mind when I got this record. And, you know, I have all your other records from back from the 2008s and beyond. And it kind of seemed like Revocation was releasing a record kind of like every year or every 2 years. And this one kind of took 4 years in the making. Why did this one take so much longer?
I mean, there's a lot of it had to do with the pandemic. You know, everything kind of obviously stopped for so many musicians, and even like the supply chain issues affected it. So we handed this record in basically in the fall of last year, and just due to like the vinyl plants being so backed up, that was actually a big reason why it took so long to come out. So it probably would have come out I don't know, maybe a year or 8 months sooner had it not been for the vinyl plant delays. But the supply chain issues actually really created an issue for a lot of bands.
So it was more a strategic thing. As far as
I don't know if it was
marketing.
strategic. It was just like we couldn't do anything about it. I mean, we handed the record in, and the vinyl plant was like, it's going to take a year.
But you said we don't want to release this record if we can't release vinyl.
Oh, in terms of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to come out the gate with the full package.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's a bummer for the fans when you push the pre-orders, and then it's like, okay, cool. Like everybody else has their shit, now you got to wait. Another 8 months or whatever for it to come. So yeah, we figured just have it. Wait so that it's all ready to go, and then push it then, so that there's no one going to be getting upset or confused or hitting you up oh, where's my order? I ordered it 8 months ago.
Right.
So we made a decision with our management and with the label to do it that way.
Sure. Yeah. That's what it was kind of leaning towards. Kind of making the most of opportune times out there. I've been jamming this record for a little while, and the people at Metal Blade have always been big supporters of our program, so I get all the pre-releases and I'm jamming the music, and it kind of seems when I got this record, I said, this record to me, Nether Heaven, is kind of really I feel kind of like the best work that you guys have done in your career, and you guys have been releasing records, like I said, since 2008. So how do you kind of feel how that this record separates itself from what you guys have done in the past? How do you feel that you've progressed musically as a player, and also what you're doing in the studio and things like that? What makes this one so much better?
Well, I think we all just really try to hone our craft. When we're home from tour. I mean, for me, I'm constantly practicing. I know it's the same way for Ash. Brett has definitely come more and more into his own as a bass player with every single release we do. I feel like he just sort of fits the vibe of the band better with every go around. I mean, I think it's just a byproduct of writing more and more songs. It's I think if you spend time practicing, you're going to get better as a technician. And I think songwriting obviously is a craft in and of itself. So the more time you spend songwriting, the more albums you have under your belt, just the better you get at it. From album to album. Luckily for us, just shout out to the fans, because they really allow us to do what we want to do. So I never feel creatively or artistically stifled in any way. I always feel like I can kind of do whatever I want, and I know that the fans are going to have our back. So that's very freeing, and I think that allows us to kind of keep pushing our envelope, and our boundaries.
And I mean, also too, you've gone through some bass players and drummers throughout the years, but Brett and Ash have kind of been with you for a while now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of seems like because of that longevity with the same lineup, that chemistry and that musical intuition is really coming into play now with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
because you've been touring and making records for a while.
Exactly. I mean, we've done multiple records together, toured all over the world together. I mean, we're all like a band of brothers at this point, which is really nice. So,
yeah.
I mean, I know that we can get into a room and play off each other's strengths, and we all sort of know each other's musical tastes inside and out at this point. So, yeah, I mean, writing a record now, it's like, in terms of like finding our comfort zone, I mean, all of that stuff's just totally dialed in.
Especially kind of like you and Brett, because y'all have to, I mean, you have one guitar player and you guys are kind of interacting and interplaying with each other and playing off of each other, and that intricacy is always kind of, I think, has become like a trademark of what Revocation is kind of known for. So that's really cool too, man. Let's go ahead and talk about your new record now. That's why we're up here in Austin to support your record. Tell us about the title Nether Heaven.
Sure. It took me a while to come up with the title for this record. Obviously, I had the idea to do like more of a hell-themed record, but there's obviously been so many bands in the metal sphere that have gone down that path and discussed those topics. So I wanted to try to come up with something that was unique, that maybe could be looked at as like from a different angle, that had some symbolism to it.
Sure.
So I just kept like going through my head with all these different titles. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, but nothing seemed to really fully click with me, and I started just sort of playing around with a bunch of different ideas of like, thinking about hell. Okay, well then there's the concept of like Hades, right, from like mythology, and then the whole idea of like the underworld and the netherworld. So that was kind of swimming around in the back of my mind, and there was actually a title that I was playing with called Inverted Heaven. Like, okay, like hell is like an inversion of heaven or something like that, like an upside down cross or something, but didn't quite sort of roll off the tongue in the way that I wanted it to. I thought the imagery was cool, but the title has to be kind of striking in a multitude of ways for me in order for it to be like an album title, because it's just such a statement, right, when you're putting out a record. And then I just woke up one morning, I think after kind of playing with all these different combinations of words, I just woke up and thought like, oh, Nether Heaven. I'm like, oh, that actually like...
So you didn't actually pull that from somewhere?
No.
That's just just your word.
Yeah, I just sort of made it up.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking to myself, where did he pull that word from? From scripture or a book or whatever?
Right, yeah,
that's cool, man.
That was just from this... yes, I guess a few REM cycles of sleep, and then my brain just sort of put those two words together. And I made the conscious decision to make it all one word, because I was thinking maybe I'll separate it like Nether Heaven, but it being one word seemed to have more of an impact for me in my mind. And when I pitched it to the guys, they were all about it. So that's usually a good sign.
We had a nether fight.
right.
I'm nether drunk tonight.
Right.
I'm going to use that from now on. 9 songs, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of read that there was a correlation between the 9 songs and the 9 rings of hell.
I think some people are drawing that distinction. It just kind of worked out that way.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah, it is a coincidence.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a coincidence.
Wow.
Although the last song, Recrucified, on the album is directly inspired by Dante's Inferno. So that's sort of our 9 circles of hell. We're kind of culminating the record with the nod to Dante's Inferno there.
This record is really heavy, technical. But when I was writing, I posted today about it on our socials, and I kind of used the word melodic too in there, and a lot of times people don't use that word when they think of Revocation. But there's some melody in this record that I really enjoy too.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I always try to keep it melodic with our stuff. I mean, we try to find a balance of just the sheer heaviness, the brutality, the faster circle pit thrash parts. But I mean, I think you go all the way back even to some of our earliest stuff, there's always that kind of melodic, I call it maybe like an epic quality on some of our songs. That I think just adds a different layer to our music. But certainly on this record we definitely juice that up in various sections.
This record sounds great. Sounds great. Where did you guys record at?
So for the first time ever, I was the producer. So we recorded the drums at the same studio that we recorded the outer ones at, Brick Hit House with Shane Frisbee. Everything else I engineered myself. So
Wow.
I engineered all my guitar playing, I engineered Brett's bass playing, and I engineered my vocals. And then we sent that all off to Jens Bogren, and he mixed and mastered it, and that was the first time we ever worked with Jens. So kind of from like all fronts, it was like pretty much a totally different process, except for the drums, which is kind of, at least it's fun to talk about in interviews, because for the past few years it's like, tell us how this record was different. And it's like, it wasn't. We went to this, it was the same thing as last time.
This time it is.
Yeah, but this time I can actually say that it was pretty much like totally different for the whole process. We loved working with Zeus in the past. He's a fantastic producer. Obviously, I think he's done great work for us. But I think we just, like anything, if you're an artist, you're trying to mix it up, work with different people. It's the same thing with working with the different artists to do the cover art this time around. I think we looked at maybe the whole thing with us re-signing with Metal Blade almost like as a fresh start. So might as well kind of come in fresh with the whole kind of new sound and even in a different art direction.
Do you feel some pressure doing that, or did the label have any say in that?
Nah, I mean,
or they said, we trust you, David, we know you're a sharp dude?
Yeah, I mean, again, as I was mentioning, the fans kind of allowing us to do our thing. It's pretty much a similar situation with the label. I mean, we're not the new kids on the block anymore. We've been around for quite a while, so I think the label probably looks at us as like, all right, these guys, they know what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, we're our own worst critics to begin with.
Anyway, right.
Yeah, so, they let us do our own thing, which is cool.
Sometimes, though, I kind of feel, in many facets of people's lives, not just music, but whenever you're expressing artistically, you see your work every day, and you're changing it and massaging it every day. You get so close to the painting that you kind of can't see outside some of the blinders. Were you ever fearful of that?
No, not really. I mean,
missing that outside perspective.
To be honest, no, because we already kind of come into the studio with the songs mostly written anyway. Sure. It's not like we go in and we need a producer to tell us like, oh, this is the chorus here and that's going to be the verse. Like, all that stuff is definitely pre-planned well ahead of time. I mean, when you go into the studio, time is money, right? So you don't want to be like kind of messing around with it. I think the days of like writing an album in the studio are pretty much certainly non-existent in the death metal realm. Over. Right. It's not like, okay, here's $500,000, you're gonna spend $100K on blow and and then the rest you'll figure it out. But yeah, for me it was like I've always been really prepared going into the studio. Yeah. So if anything, I think maybe not having a producer there and having sort of complete freedom in terms of like not having any time constraints allowed me to be in some ways even more creative, because I didn't feel like, oh, the clock is ticking, or even like if you're trying different things out, it's like you might seem like, oh, I'm wasting someone's time right now if I'm not getting it right away. There's like kind of a pressure to be like, okay, if you're gonna come up with an idea, it better be good, because we gotta move on. So I was able to just kind of really take my time, experiment, try. I mean, there was on Lessons in Occult Theft, just as a quick example, there was the ending part. I was trying out different like harmonies. Same thing with Recrucified in the ending. I was trying out all these different harmonies, and rather than just saying, oh, I'll stick with this one type of interval the whole way through, I was kind of like mixing and matching and recording multiple takes and kind of choosing different pieces and really kind of developing the part to make it that much more unique because I had that extra time. Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Kind of streamlined the operation a little bit.
In some ways it did, and in other ways, obviously, it was my first time ever doing it. So, yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't banging my head against the wall multiple times.
But it's only going to get better, though, David.
Right, well, that's the thing.
It's only going to get better.
Exactly. But there were certainly some ghosts in the machine as I was working through, and I'd record a part, and it would come back the next day, and it would just be gone. I'm like, oh, great, I got to record this all over again because it didn't save properly or whatever. Yeah. So you make mistakes along the way, but I think sometimes that's the only way you really learn is when you make those mistakes.
Absolutely. So I can only anticipate what's forthcoming in the future for you guys. This record, despite the short time that it's been out, not even a month, it has already gotten a lot of acclaim in the States and in Canada. How do you kind of feel about the great reception this record's getting?
I mean, it feels awesome, right? I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's great that the fans have embraced it. I love that fellow musicians that I look up to have reached out to me, and have really said that it's there's something there, right? It's always nice when you have like a respected musician that reaches out like, hey, their new record's awesome, right? I mean, like that feels great. And it's cool too, you know, with the critical reception of it, it's been awesome as well. So kind of across the board, it's been a really fantastic reception, and it's very affirming. Yeah, it feels great, right? You know,
and the fans are listening on musical outlets and buying the record.
Oh yeah.
It was
our most successful.
You guys did number three in the States for new artists, and number 5 in the USA, and number 4 in Canada for new hard rock album. That's pretty great, man.
It's the hardest rock album.
Yeah, hardest rock of the hard rock albums. Yeah, man, that's great. I can only imagine how, after all this time, how gratifying that is for you as an extreme kind of band.
Yeah, because you never know, right? I mean, you're writing the stuff and you think it's great, obviously, like, but you never know what the reaction is going to be. So we don't write music for other people. We write music for ourselves first and foremost.
Sure.
I think you have to do that as an artist, as a musician. So it's great when you put it out there and you kind of keep your fingers crossed, and then you get that love back, and you feel like, all right, cool, like this. It just makes it really actually is inspiring to just keep it going. You know, it's like, oh hell yeah, like that makes me want to write even more.
Yeah. I'm doing it right.
You're right, exactly.
I'm doing it right.
So thank you to everybody that has said nice things to say. Appreciate
Great
it.
record. So for all you fans out there who don't yet have a copy of it, go ahead and take a look at the cover work. The album is called Nether Heaven, out on Metal Blade Records. It dropped on September 9th, 2022. Be sure to pick it up and download it at your favorite music media outlet right after you watch this interview. Heavy stuff, and that's why we're here, to support the man and the band. You guys started touring on the day the record came out.
Yeah.
The tour, right?
Yep.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
You know, for the first time ever, it was like this like multiple-pronged attack. It was like the record came out, the tour started, we dropped the music video that day.
That's why I used the word strategic earlier, because it seemed like you guys had a plan.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think probably because the delays with the supply chain stuff, it allowed us to formulate that much more of a strategy. So yeah, it was kind of cool to come out the gate just like swinging, you know, with like, okay, we got the tour, we got the album out, here's a music video to go check out. So it did feel like we were up in everyone's face for a good amount of time.
You guys started off in Canada on the 9th. As we sit here near the end of September, you guys are kind of knee deep already in this tour. What's the kind of reception been like to these new songs live?
Reception's great. I think it's only going to continue to get better too, because I mean, people are. It's still a fresh record for people.
For sure.
But yeah, it's been really fun playing some of these new songs live. We opened up with 2 new songs like right out the gate, and it's just been getting the pit moving right away. So that's always cool. You know, I think. As the tour progresses, as the album's been out for longer and longer too, it's I can see these songs being like staples of our set for many years to come.
Great. And you guys have Christian as a direct support.
Oh yeah.
Great tour, man. And you guys are going to end out in the middle of October.
Yeah.
In
It's Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I want to say.
Back on the East Coast, close to home.
Yeah.
Close to home. That's always
That was
smart
strategic too.
Yeah.
We've done our tours where we end in California. And
No.
Oh, it's a drive back.
Yeah. What are the any plans or pending plans for the rest of the fall?
Sure. So we're going to be doing Hell and Heaven Fest in Mexico.
Wow.
Which is going to be huge. I think our day is Slipknot, Judas Priest.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a huge show. And then I think we're going to stay for the next night too, because that's like Kiss's last show ever in Mexico. So they've claim. And like the direct support is like Megadeth and Merciful Fate. So it's just going to be an insane show. So I'm really looking forward to getting to Mexico. Just kind of almost like, I mean, it's going to be a show, but I'm going to try to treat it like a little bit of a vacation at the same time, a little heavy metal vacation. And then moving into 2023, we're doing a full headline tour of Europe. We're taking Goat Whore out as direct support.
Yeah.
Alluvial, Creeping Death is opening, so that's going to be a real slamming tour. And then we have some plans for the spring, but I can't talk about them yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the band's third headlining tour
Ever?
officially? Or
I don't even know, because we've done like, random like stints here and there where we're headlining. Like, it's like at
a
least
long run?
Yeah, for a full run.
Yeah.
I think it might be our fourth or fifth. Like,
Okay.
I can't remember.
Is that something you prefer to do?
It just really depends. There's things about it that I love, but I mean, it is like twice the amount of work. Sure. You're playing for twice as long every night, which is great, but it just takes more out of you.
Sure.
And then just like your days aren't as kind of easy, because you have to be the first ones in and you're the last ones out. Even just like sound. I mean, we have like a whole floor package lighting rig and just like setup and sound check. So pretty much like as soon as we get in, we're like going like up until doors, and then it's like then you got to start like warming up for the show. Whereas like if you're supporting, if like you're like on that Cannibal tour just that we were 2 of 4, it was like we could kind of show up like an hour and a half, 2 hours before doors, get our stuff on stage, because not much you can do anyway when the band's sound checking for the headliner. So, and then you could just kind of like fuck off and do whatever you want until you got to play, and then you're done, and then you have the whole rest of the night to like hang out and like you could watch the show, and like I watch like Cannibal like every night on that tour.
Wow.
And so it's great, and it's all like I love supporting and I love headlining. They both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think for obviously headlining is the most rewarding, because it's like, all right, these people are like
here for us.
Yeah. But there's something to be said too about like touring and like kind of winning people over.
Yeah,
like that's kind of fun. It brings me back to the very first years that I was touring with this band. Like, I mean, we did a tour with Killswitch Engage in Europe, and like I think the majority of the audience had like never even heard of us before.
Yeah.
So it was cool, like seeing like sort of looks of confusion turn to like, oh hell yeah, this is sick, like. So
who is
it's
this band?
Right. It's and I'm sure probably a bunch of people walked away like, that is not my thing. I'm here for Killswitch. But when the crowds are that big, even if you have like a 10-20% conversion rate, that's still like a good fucking amount of people that will have never have heard of your shit before. That's why I can't stress enough like touring. Like, I mean, all the promotion in the world is great, like, doing things, radio things or online things or social media, like all that stuff has its place and is great. But I guess I'm just old school. I think there's no better way to win someone over than just like confronting them with your music for that half hour, 45 minutes that you're on stage, because there's nowhere to hide, and you're just putting it all out there, and they're either going to walk away like a fan, or they're going to be like, it's not for me, but at least
They're like, yeah, I saw that band.
Right.
They're brutal.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You guys did a couple of videos already, right?
Yeah.
In support of this record.
Yep.
And I love the videos. One of them came out, I think it was the Diabolical Majesty came out first.
That was the first one, yeah.
And then Nihilistic Violence came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
I love the videos because it shows you guys playing. I think people want to see you guys perform.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those videos are kind of like really dark too, the way they were shot and the lighting. So I dig it, man. You think, first of all, do you like doing videos? And secondly, do you think that videos are still important for bands?
Yeah. So yes to both. I mean, we've been working with Dave Brodsky and the My Good Eye production team since the start of our career.
Out of Boston or New York?
I think he lives technically. He might even live in Pennsylvania now, but Brodsky's he's a native New Yorker. It's like seeing an old friend, it's great. We all get together, we laugh, we goof around, and Dave always just delivers like a fantastic product. Him and his partner Allie, like they're just great to work with. And I think the videos he's done for us on this cycle are his best yet. So he's one of those dudes that I feel like he's just constantly getting better.
Sure, he's getting better too.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think definitely.
As long as his rates aren't getting higher. His rates are getting higher too.
He's worth every penny. But yeah, I think the videos are important because, I mean, I was just talking about how I think live is obviously like I think the best way to win people over.
Sure.
But for a lot of people, I mean, seeing a video on YouTube or hearing a song or whatever, like on some streaming platform, is their first time checking out the band. So I think music grabs you in one way. I mean, I'm a musician, so obviously music is the most important thing, but obviously in today's society that we live in, there's so many fast-paced things, there's so many things vying for attention. So I think for a lot of maybe newer fans, they kind of need that visual element. It kind of allows you to get more of a window into the personality of the band, even just like what they look like, right? Like,
Sure.
oh, cool. Like, oh, that dude's rocking like, I got more comments on my fucking shoes matching my guitar
I thought you were going to talk about the guitar.
than about the song, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah.
of funny. But, I think it's super crucial, just like an album cover is crucial. I remember being a kid going into like random music stores, and I would, picking up like Cannibal Corpse Butchered at Birth for the first time, like having no idea what Cannibal Corpse sounded like, but like seeing that cover and being like, this looks like a fucking horror movie VHS. Like, what is this? And that draws you in too. So for sure, I think it's important. And yeah, it's a cool way to. It's just like at the end of the day, like an advertisement for the record as a whole.
You alluded to the cover work for Nether Heaven. Talk a little bit about it, because I had to kind of look at it for a while.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in
Yes.
that piece.
Honestly, what you just said there is kind of what I love about death metal album covers in general. I mean, even going all the way back to like Dan Seagrave, right? There's so much detail there, and you could look at a metal album cover for an hour and still find cool little nooks and crannies of like weird details that you wouldn't have noticed before. We worked with Paulo Girardi for the first time. Incredible painter. He has this like. He doesn't do anything digitally. It's all like in that old world style. He looks to me like he's like a death metal like Renaissance painter or something like that. It's all oil on canvas. He was super cool to work with. I just basically just reached out to him via DM, like, hey man, I love your work. Like, are you available? He's an interesting character for sure. I think anyone that's like, is creating those like insane hellscapes on canvas is going to be an interesting.
And did you tell him I made up a word? It's called Nether Heaven?
Right.
Take it from there.
I gave him the lyrics. I gave him the the concept, and it was funny too. I gave him. I asked for a sketch, because normally when we're working with artists like on a big grand scale like that, I like to see a sketch to make sure we're on the same page. And
sure.
He wrote me back and he said, I never do sketches, David.
Oh, wow.
They burn my mental freshness and violence. I'm like, that is the sickest response ever. I'm like, all right, no sketch needed. Just go.
Wow.
I'm in your hands.
Hey.
Hey, go for it.
Trust me.
Right. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at that album cover, there's so many cool like creatures and demons, and there's just so much like just so much shit going on in that album cover. It's definitely I'm glad that I don't even have a record player, but I own the vinyl, because I gotta like look at it up close.
It's like a piece of art.
Oh, for sure. I want to try to actually own the original of it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit him up probably and
That's
see.
why, like in my home, in my studio, I buy frames for some of my album covers.
Oh, yeah.
And I just put them on my wall.
Yep.
They're just pieces of art too.
Yep.
Even though they're prints, but still,
Yeah.
that's the record.
Yep.
Very
actually
cool,
own some
man.
of the originals of some Revocation artwork.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's cool having the actual
The
painting.
real,
It's like,
yeah.
whoa, this is a real piece of art.
Let's kind of move on from the record now. Let's talk about some other fun stuff that you do, and things that I wanted to ask you about personally.
Lay it on me.
I've been following you for a long time, and the band and your music, and Kevy is a big fan of yours too. And when I told him, I said, "Hey man, I have an opportunity to sit down with David Davidson." He's like, "Dude, like, he's a brilliant guy, and he went to Berklee College of Music, and he learned how to play jazz, and he's a great guitar player in our community." So I know just from seeing you on video that you're a really articulate guy, and I love to speak with smart people who can really share in-depth responses with me about their music and stuff. And you've had a musical career now since I want to say your high school days. So we're talking like 2006 maybe. I mean, it's been a long time.
Oh yeah.
And as we sit here, on the brink of 2023, Revocation and David Davidson is a reputable name in our metal world, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you've when you think about your career and where you're at now, and when you think about the future, kind of how do you feel? Because sometimes I meet musicians and who've been around a long time, and I think some musicians do music for different reasons, but it seems like you're in a good place.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and thank you, Kevy. Thank you. I mean, yeah, I'm writing music because I love to write music.
Yeah.
I'm in the metal community because I felt very accepted in that community when I was younger, and it's an honor for me to continue to fly the flag of metal
In the Boston underground scene.
Yeah. I became up, totally in the underground.
Yeah.
Playing basement shows.
Yeah.
And kind of living in different worlds too. In the Boston scene, like we'd be playing shows with like hardcore punk bands and like abandoned warehouses, and then we'd go play like random bar shows with like death metal bands, and we'd take a trip to like Rhode Island and plays some weird spot with some like black metal band. We kind of like hit it all.
Yeah.
And then of course, like, as you mentioned, I'm obviously a big fan of jazz. I'm very much a student of jazz. I always will be. I love the genre. I see parallels between metal and jazz, even though they're obviously very different styles of music, but there's a certain uncompromising attitude that both of those genres have that really draws me to it. They're both forms of music that go against the grain, go against the status quo, and they obviously have a level of virtuosity that is very inspiring. So yeah, I feel honored to be able to play the style of music that I love. It's a great feeling to know that we're gaining more and more recognition. It's not even like an ego thing. It's more of just like, I look at it like, okay, cool. Like the bigger we get, naturally, the more people are gonna be coming into contact with our music, and hopefully, my music can inspire that next generation of musicians that are up and coming. So I think it's this sort of cyclical thing where we're all influencing each other, and at the end of the day, like, even with metal being, very much kind of perceived as a brutal sort of negative force, I mean, ultimately it's completely positive. You know what I mean? You're putting out good vibes. You're taking like these like negative emotions and like you're turning them into something positive. People come out to the show, they have a good time, they have that like cathartic release. So I feel great to be a part of that community, and just continuing to push the envelope of that. And like I said, hopefully, inspire others in the same way that some of my favorite bands inspired me.
Sure, and you are definitely doing that, my friend.
Thank you.
Definitely, undoubtedly. Just a few more things, David, before I let you go. You're like, this interview was supposed to be 15 minutes. I got shit to do, Rob.
I got to take a nap.
Exactly. Tell us about the Nether Hell's beer, because I'm a beer drinker.
Oh, okay.
And I saw that you guys had done a collaboration with KCBC, and is that stuff still available, or was it kind of like a limited run?
So KCBC, I'm not exactly sure where they distribute exactly, but what I can say, and this just happened, Tavor, which is some like beer by mail app kind of distribution thing, just picked it up. So it's now available in 23 states.
Nice.
But I don't know the exact states offhand. So you might very well may be able to get it in Texas.
It'd be better.
Yeah. That collaboration came about, it's kind of years in the making. I met Tony, one of the owners and head brewers there at a Behemoth event, actually. It was like this kind of like art gallery / they were premiering like a Behemoth beer, and KCBC had brewed that beer. And we just kind of got to talking. We were fans of each other's work. I enjoyed their beer very much.
Yeah.
And we just kind of like kept in touch, and we had always talked about doing a beer together, and just things didn't like quite line up. And then obviously the pandemic pushed everything back. And then I just kind of hit Tony up like out of the blue. I was like, "Yo, we doing this or what?" And he was like, "All right, let's do it. Come into the brewery. We'll come up with the plan." And I got Tom Strom, who's a great buddy of mine. He did the artwork. He's done artwork for our past like 3 albums. So he did the outer ones, Great As Our Sin and Deathless. So it was cool to bring him back in and do some cool artwork collabs, but like in a different in a different realm, right? Obviously it's a beer can, not a vinyl art.
Yeah.
And yeah, the beer is just delicious. It's super easy drinking. It's just like that. What's like everything you want, like in a lager. You know, it's crushable. I mean, we were kind of going back and forth. Oh, do we do like a crazy stout or an IPA? We're like, let's make a beer that people can drink at a hot, heavy metal show. You're in the pit. You need to cool off.
And chug it.
Shotgun it. Yeah. Chug it responsibly, though.
You know, I always like to try some of these band beers, and some of them are really freaking good.
It really is delicious. Like, I'm not even like 'cause it's our beer. Like, I was sipping on it. I'm like, oh man, this is great.
This is good.
They gave us like 2 like huge pallets of it, and it was gone in like one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Come over, let's have a Nether Hell's beer party.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tasted the Cliff Burton beer.
Oh, okay.
A few weeks back. It was delicious too.
Oh, wow.
And I think the only other beer that I really, really kind of remember was the Deftones beer. Was really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't tried either of those, but
they're delicious, man. Kevy's a guitar player, so we were talking about guitars, and people know you play Jackson guitars. The name of your guitar is called the Warrior.
Yep.
The Warrior. It's a 7-string.
Yeah, well, so they make a 6-string model, but my signature model is a 7-string. It's like the product name is like WR7.
Yeah. And you were talking about, I think I saw online where you got some new colors of your guitars recently.
Yeah, we did a Ferrari red, a Lambo yellow.
Yeah.
My previous guitars were more like kind of natural wood finishes. So
okay.
I wanted to go like exact opposite direction with that. I don't know. I guess I just like to keep people on their toes and have a little bit of an element of surprise there. And the response to the new colors has been killer.
Yeah. You know, sometimes when musicians come out with a signature, sometimes it might be like a very similar copycat of something previously, like a Les Paul or a Telecaster. Is that Warrior body style pretty unique? How did that come around?
Sure. So, I mean, I've been playing Warriors. That was actually the first Jackson I ever got was a Warrior. So that style has been out for quite some time. However, the Warrior in a 7-string configuration is unique to me. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could get a custom shop ordered 7-string, but to my knowledge, there's sort of very few of those out there. And in terms of like production models, the WR7.
So your guitars are in production?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. I just read today that finally, after so many years, that Rob Cavastani of Death Angel, finally Jackson's going to put his guitar in production.
Oh, they're going to do that finally.
The Death Angel guitar,
Oh, cool. Do you know what they're going to call it?
They called it the Death Angel guitar.
Okay.
But I know the real name because I'm good friends with Rob Cavastani.
Okay.
And he calls that guitar the Dragon.
Okay.
That's what he calls it.
Okay, cool.
So in his world, his body style is the Dragon, but that's not something that they market. But they've marketed as the Rob Cavastani signature Death Angel guitar. But finally, after he's been a Jackson artist for a long time.
He deserves it. Rob's the man.
Yeah, deserves it for sure. Let's end out, David, on a funny note. We were talking earlier before we started rolling about that video that you did with Metal Sucks, where you kind of went around in New York City on the first of the month asking New Yorkers what they thought of Nether Heaven. Yeah. And you were walking around, you put headphones on these really obscure, like, non-metalhead people.
Yeah.
And some of the responses were just hilarious. And you took it all in stride there. You kind of helped facilitate a lot of that laughter there. How did that come about? Whose idea was that? That was kind of cool.
Yeah, so that was Frank's idea. Frank Godlove from Metal Injection and Metal Socks, just one of my best friends.
And you were like, I'm down.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah. Well, me and him will just get together, and I mean, we hang out so much anyway. But it was cool, like leading up to Nether Heaven, because we get together and we just kind of come up with like zany ideas for doing press for the new record, because you try to do something a little bit different each time around, make it fun. And yeah, he was like, let's do like a you on the street, like kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm totally down. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. We got some good laughs. Everyone was cool. We spent like a good few hours out there, just like talking to different people. I mean, most people turn you down, right? And you just kind of have to like keep like rolling with the punches.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, we were out there for a few hours, and it was funny to see it all condensed down to like a under 10-minute video of just like the best of. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and Frank does such a great job with the filming and editing of those things, so it really helps the flow and keeps it entertaining.
And you were like If you had to name this band, what would you name it? And that guy, what did he say? He said Balls Destroyer.
That became like a meme. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Like everyone was talking about, they're like, we need Balls Destroyer's merch. We need a Balls Destroyer's song.
Yeah.
So no, they will drop like a limited Balls Destroyer, the Revocation logo, but it'll say like Balls Destroyers or something like that.
Make it with the Balls Destroyer with the Revocation font.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool. And great way to kind of do some off the wall kind of promotion for this record. A wonderful record. David, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sitting out in this Texas sun with me. We're quick and easy out here on the patio as we get ready for your show tonight. Any last words, anything I missed that you want to share with your fans and people around the world who will watch this interview?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure talking to you. Yeah, check out the record, Nether Heaven. It's out now. Come see us on tour. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but if we're still out on the road. So. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll still be touring. So if we're coming through your neighborhood, definitely come see the show. It's a killer tour. Absolutely great lineup. Yeah, just...
and all you European fans, too.
Right. We'll be coming over to Europe soon, too. So we're going everywhere on this record.
Cool. I hope to see you out on the road all next year, too, because this record definitely deserves that kind of support, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Remember, everyone out there, the brand new one from the band is called Nether Heaven. You saw Davidson of Revocation here on Rob's Metal.